Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that'll have plot synopsis for this story we're about to go through. Character bios, too. We are continuing our run of Chris Claremont era X-Men. That is also going to include New Mutants. That is also going to include Louise and Walter Simonson's run on X Factor. And we're going to get into Excalibur 2. Everything done in reading order. So, I do have a playlist. It's all under X-Men. Because so far it's the only thing we've covered so far. I started out with Classic X-Men #1, which reprints Giant X-Men #2, and then of course Classic X-Men 2 goes through 94, and then all upwards. I've also covered X-Men Annual 3, everything in order. So if you decide to go through the playlist, you can listen to the whole thing. I'm not skipping around. I am going to give you everything in absolute order. So these videos are coming out daily, because if I were to do this monthly the way I was doing it for a little bit, it would take me 100 years to get this thing done. So we are covering this daily. So great cover. Check out the playlist. Like I said, the previous issue was covered. Every issue has been covered. We see Wendigo throwing Wolverine. This is just awesome, menacing pose here. Oh goodness gracious, I lost my train of thought. Here we see a little coloring mishap here. He does not have an orange belt, but I think this is his second appearance of his new costume. So I love the brown and orange costume here. So we got Colossus here pulling out this stump of a tree. I love this here. By Lennon's either my heart will burst or my steel body crack. So now I totally get why he's struggling, because have you ever tried to pull a weed? Even pulling a weed is very difficult. So, or I will pull you free. And so he thinks here there are easier ways to clear a hectare of land, but few more satisfying. So I own all these stories either in its original form or the Classic X-Men. I also have the oh my goodness, I have a couple versions. I have the black and white version that these things were released. I forgot the essential X-Men, and then I also have the epic collections. Nothing is better to me than this era of X-Men. I quit reading modern X-Men. I have a couple of the issues, but once Jonathan Hickman left, it was just a mess. I have no idea how any of this crap has ended, but nope, not for me. I actually don't buy too many comic books nowadays. I've actually just have Captain America because I love JMS. I pick up oh my goodness, Thor and Hulk. That is it. Those are the only three comics I buy. So a lot of my time is spent filling in gaps with some of these older stuff. So enjoying yourself, Peter, says Angel, who has rejoined the X-Men. And Colossus says, Angel, strange as it sounds, Tavarish, I am. It's been too long since I got my hands dirty doing the work I was born to do. Angel says, you sound homesick. Do you wish you'd stayed a farmer? And Colossus says, occasionally, but I know now I cannot go back. As an X-Men, I have seen, experienced so much, too much. My parents, my comrades would not understand. And so he says, I know the feeling, but what is it? But but if that's so, why all this work? He says. It relaxes me and reminds me that for all the vaunted power of Colossus, I am still nothing compared to the power and majesty of nature. I have beheld many wonders, Warren, yet few compared to the simple beauty of seed giving birth to a flower. I am sorry, I'm not expressing my thoughts, my feelings well. I have not the words. And Angel takes off and says, Pal, Shakespeare couldn't have said it better myself. And Professor X is calling Angel. Whoops, gotta fly, Pete. I just got a telepathic call from the professor. Be seeing ya here. So Angel says, I've never quite met anyone like Peter. At first, I thought he was your basic dumb cluck country hick. But there's a lot more to him than meets the eyes. In many ways, he's the most honest and honorable person I know. So Angel shows up here. You wanted to see me, Professor. Anything important? And Professor X says, Curiosity, Angel. I was wondering about your reactions to your fellow X-Men now that you've had a chance to work and train beside them. And he says, no problems, except for Wolverine. He's crazy and, and dangerous. Suppose he goes berserk in a fight and kills someone with those freaky claws of his. And Professor X says, I knew that when I invited him to join the X-Men, Warren. He has his faults, yet for all of that, he is a good man. His potential as a leader, as a superhero, is extraordinary. Um, all my adult life, I've tried to help mutants to come to terms with themselves and the society around them, to teach Homo sapiens and Homo superiors to live together in peace and harmony, for better or worse. That includes Wolverine. I may fail, but I must at least make the attempt. So now we got Storm here. Remember, she took Kitty to the dance recital. Again, I'm going to always say this, John Byrne and background's absolute god of a storyteller. I am serializing his run on Wonder Woman from the mid 90s. It is absolutely beautiful. That man still has not lost a step here. So this guy is making the moves on Storm. She is not impressed and causes him to get some rain on him. So she's going to go to see Kitty, who is with Stevie Hunter. She is his teacher for dance. And Storm says, there's Kitty and her new dance teacher, Stevie Hunter. I guess I could have just read that instead of telling you. Anyway, they seem to be getting along famously. That shouldn't bother me, but it does. I've been on edge since the moment we met. I keep telling myself such feelings are absurd. Yeah, especially since you just met her. So Stevie is one of the nicest women I've ever met, yet the feelings remain. And Kitty says, hey, Ororo, boy, you should have stuck around to watch the class. It was great. And Stevie says, our kitten has real talent, Ororo, once we smooth down her considerable rough edges. And Storm is like, our kitten. So Storm has maternal feelings for Kitty. So can I interest you both in a bite to eat? After a day of teaching budding Barishnikov and Makarovas, I'm famished. I don't know who those are. Must be dancers from the time. So thank you, Stevie, but no, we must be getting back to the school. Sorry, Stevie, duty calls. See ya some other time, perhaps. For sure, says Kitty. And Kitty faces through, and Storm is like, Kitty, what do you think you're doing, flaunting your powers like that? Suppose someone sees you. I checked before I did it, Ororo. Nobody's around. And she says, I'm sorry, it's just that using my power walking through solid objects is fun. I know, little one, but please be more careful, says Storm. So, okay, Ororo, are you feeling all right? You're awfully short fused for all of a sudden. Is it me or... And she thinks, Goddess, the child is perceptive. No, kitten, it's not you. I'm concerned for Wolverine and Nightcrawler. We've heard nothing from them since they left for Canada this morning. I hope they haven't run into trouble. So, here we go. Wendigo as he attacks Nightcrawler. So this beastie makes the Juggernaut look puny by comparison, which is I think my cue to let discretion prove the better part of valor and get the blazes out of here. But the Wendigo is chasing him, and so Nightcrawler goes up to the tree, but the Wendigo is like, "Nope, not up there." Of course, the Wendigo is like Groot. Instead of saying "I am Groot," he says Wendigo. So he grabs Nightcrawler. He screams here and grip like a vice crushing me, claws cutting into me. Wendigo too strong, can't break free. Only hope, focus, concentration, ignore the pain, but it's hard. But I must. And so he, of course, bamfs his way out, meaning he teleports. But I love that sound or that sound effect. So he ends up here, but then teleports again to get into the ground. And the Wendigo still goes through. Wendigo, he says. So Nightcrawler, of course, is going to try to use his acrobatics, but the Wendigo swats him away, um, and just hurls him again. John Byrne in backgrounds, and while they're all doing a search for the Wendigo here, kind of looking at a map, they hear a thump. And Guardian's like, that's. Well, Wolverine's like, what then? Guardian's like, that sound. And so Wolverine comes out, pulls up his claws, and there is the Wendigo that they've been looking. Mag, I got a feeling that finding Wendigo has just become the least of our problems. Wendigo. Good grief. He's hefting that pickup like it was a toy. And he is about to throw him. Fat out, people. I'll handle this. For months I've been telling myself how good my battle suit was. Now comes the acid test. Lord help me. I'm scared. I never realized Wendigo could be so big. And so he destroys that pickup, which was a rental, and grabs this tree and just swats him. Here comes Snowbird. She turns into a snow owl. She's a shapeshifter. And Wolverine says, okay, he'll be okay. Mac designed his battle suit to protect him from my claws. Even a rough landing shouldn't in those trees shouldn't do more than shake him up. Wendigo's been considerate enough to come to us, Shaman. Let's finish the job right here, right now. You go after him, Wolverine. I'll follow when I can. And he says, Wolverine kind of goes, huh? The explosion of the truck fuel has started a fire. These woods are tinder dry. If this blaze gets out of control, it will be almost impossible to stop. So very considerate of Shaman. So he's trying to deal with that so that the forest doesn't catch on fire. Vindicator, Jamie, are you? I'm fine, Snowbird. The only thing hurt is my pride. Take Wolverine and follow Wendigo. Shaman and I will be along as soon as we've extinguished the fire. In other words, you girl deal with that thing. I'll deal with the easier things. So Wolverine is going after Wendigo, and Snowbird comes and says, Wolverine, I can see nothing from the air. And Wolverine replies, ain't surprising. The woods here are about as thick as they can get, and there are a lot of gullies and ravines for Wendigo to hide in. We're gonna have to do this the hard way, continues Wolverine, on step and one step at a time. Wolverine, I do not like you much. And he says, thanks, but I cannot deny that you are a good leader. Why did you resign from Department H? Asks Snowbirds. And Wolverine says, I got a better offer. And so, we're going to have a bit of a flashback here. Of course, we have Guardian, his wife, who will become the new Vindicator when he dies in Alpha Flight, which I don't plan on covering. I do love John Byrne, but I don't care for Alpha Flight. I actually have all the John Byrne issues, but... And so... So we get a little bit of Wolverine's background, which up till now there wasn't much. I normally haven't been reading these parts here, but I'll do it here. Unbidden, his mind flashes back across the years, remembering how James and Heather Hudson found him near their home in the Canadian Rockies, sick, frozen, starving, as near death as the body could be. They nursed him back to health, accepted him, loved him, and he loved them in return. But still, there were strains. And so Wolverine, of course, popping his claws. You don't understand, Mac. You've never understood. I've always been a dangerous man, scrapping second nature to me. But these claws, these flaming adamantium skeleton, I've got change everything. As far as I'm concerned, there's no such thing as a fair fight anymore. I'm virtually invulnerable, Mac. I've been turned into a killing machine, and I don't like it. And so Heather screams out his name here. So, and it looks like Wolverine just kind of had taken off. So back in the present, are you sure the Parnells are alive? Says Snowbird. Princess, the one thing I learned early in life was to tell the difference between the smell of a live body and a dead one. Mama Parnell is scared stiff, but she and her baby are both breathing. But bring back Mac and the others pronto. I'll maintain surveillance. And she turns into an owl again. Why should I go? And he says, or they're whispering here, so Wendigo can't hear him here. Because I can't fly, dummy, and speed is what's important. Now scoot. And Wolverine's like, uh-oh. Wendigo's acting hungry, and I have a hunch he's in the mood for something more substantial than dried up old bones. So of course he moves this rock, and here is the mom and the baby who should have been screaming and hungry. So the reinforcements ain't gonna arrive in time for time. If Mrs. Parnell's gonna be rescued, I'll have to do it myself, and that suits me just fine. I've been aching for a rematch with the Wendigo, and it looks like this is it. As Wendigo, as Wolverine is about to go on Wendigo, and he's grabbing her. He's about to eat her leg here, and she's like, "No." So, Wolverine, remember me, bub. The name's Mayhem. Sorry. Wolverine's the name, Mayhem's the game. Another Chris Claremont trope here. So, off they go. Wendigo's reeling. I've got him on the ropes. I'll settle for that, as if I had a choice. So, and here he pops his claws right into him. Wolverine is such a cool character. And so after putting Wendigo down, Wolverine says, Miss Parnell, my name's Wolverine. Be cool, ma'am. I'm one of the good guys. Can you travel? The sooner we're away from here, the better. I can't guarantee how long Shaggy'll stay down in Slumberland. She says, I can walk. And so Wolverine helps her, but, of course, Wolverine notices the shadow. He turns back, and boom, here comes Wendigo. And so Wolverine, of course, says, of all the dumb mistakes, I dropped my guard. Wendigo has edge. All I can do is write things out and hope for the best. So he just, oh my goodness, painful. He's like, that hurt. Gotta make some kind of move. Can't take much more of this. And so Nightcrawler shows up here, teleports, and hits him with a branch. And then Wendigo, I don't know whether Nightcrawler jumped away or if Wendigo pushed him, but it does look, based on this, perhaps he jumped away. And Nightcrawler says, Vindicator. And okay, Vindicator catches him and then uses his suit to hit him in the head here with the energy bolts. And so we got Shaman here with Snowbird. And Shaman says, I was afraid of this. We're staggering Wendigo, but no more than that. The enchantment that created him protects him from the full force of our powers. He's too strong. My magic can't even bind him. He's much less cure him while he's conscious. Physical force can overwhelm him. The Hulk and Wolverine proved that, says Snowbird. Wolverine's out cold, Snowbird, and the Hulk isn't available. True, but perhaps I can shape change into the next best thing. And so this part here looks like a dinosaur the way it was colored. And she is going to turn into an actual Wolverine. So Snowbird, every animal she converts to is white. So it's a white owl, a polar bear, a Wolverine. So everything is white. So she's turning into an actual Wolverine and just attacks. Now, Wolverines are big, but I don't think they're that enormous. I think they're about the size of a medium dog. This looks like the size of a of a friggin' human. Um, so then they all watch her, and you can see Wolverine is getting up, and he goes, "Annie, what have you done?" And all of a sudden, love this here, big red panel. Glynis Wayne, as she was called during that day, then Glynis Oliver. She was married to Len Wein, and then after the divorce, she went to her maiden name. And you can see here just the drooling of the blood. It's just amazing here. So she's still a Wolverine. The animal persona must have taken over. My changeling spell will work as well on Snowbird as on Wendigo. And Wolverine says, "No, she'll fight you physically and psychically. You could be left so wasted you won't be able to help Wendigo. And then all this pain and grief would have been for nothing. Leave Annie to me," he says. So, all right. And so Wolverine says, "No violence, no fear. I've got to reach Annie with words and emotion, just like Scott reached Jean when she'd been consumed by Dark Phoenix. I ain't good at talking. Every instinct in me wants to fight her, to prove my own strength and superiority by smashing her to submission. But that's the wrong way. I can't. I won't do that. Annie, it's Logan. Hear me, princess. Listen to me. Remember who you are." Love still the Wolverine, and I love how this is inked in the big black bold. And she jumps but turns back into her. So Logan, oh Logan, thank you. Hush, darling, hush. I know how you feel. You'll be okay though. You've gone through the valley, faced the worst parts of yourself in triumph. It'll never be as rough that rough again. So um and so we got the um is it nighttime, daytime? I don't know. And so Shaman's using his spell now on the Wendigo and returning him back to the man he was. Good thing he still had his clothes under it. "It is done," says Shaman. "Well done, my friend. Rest now, Michael. You've earned it." Um, George Batiste says, Vindicator, "Yes, I am. Am I truly free of my curse? Is my nightmare ended at last?" He says, "I'm afraid not. You're under arrest." And he's like, "What?" And so I know arresting Baptiste sounds cruel and heartless, but I had no choice. He became Wendigo of his own free will. Under Canadian law, that renders him culpable for the crimes he committed as Wendigo. The courts shouldn't be too hard on him, though. His acts were those of an insane man, and his memories of what he did are far more worse than punishment than a lifetime stench in prison. I don't think he knows how that. Of course, they're gonna throw the hammer on him. Thanks for your help, Logan. We couldn't have stopped them without you. I'll speak to the minister about your resignation. There'll be no more hassles of you or the X-Men. And now that you're a free man, come visit me and Heather more often. We're your friends, Logan. We care about you. We miss you. I know, Mac, and I will. And Snowbird says, "Will I see Wolverine again? Who can say? Do I wish to?" Yes. uh, and so, um, we've got here we're almost at the end of the story here. So Nightcrawler and Wolverine are gonna have a bit of a conversation here. So Nightcrawler's just a little confused, and he says Batista's Wendigo killed and now must pay the price. And you, Wolverine, should you not pay a price as well? And he says, "Kurt, in my life I've been two things: a wartime soldier and a secret agent. As one, my government paid me to kill. As the other, they licensed me to kill. I was very good at both jobs. They like that. I got the medals and commendations to prove it, perhaps, but I ain't finished yet, bub. A man comes to me with his fist, I'll meet him with fists. But he pulls a gun or threatens people I'm protecting, then I got no sympathy for him. He made his choice. He'll have to live or die with it. I never used my claws on someone who didn't try to kill me first. I call that self-defense." Except he did kill someone, But if you remember, in the Savage Land, he killed one of the troopers or the warriors. But um, eh, we don't know everything. I know that Chris Claremont kind of went back to rewrote that whole area. That he just, he had no choice. So understand, Logan. That's what you say is reasonable, logical, justifiable. But does that make it right? So it says here, the Wolverine does not reply for a long while. There's a silence between the two men. So we got a bit of a moral dilemma. So here we are. We're in Ottawa here at the Parliament building here. Vindicator says, "You wanted to see me, Prime Minister?" "Yes, Dr. Hudson. First, I'd like to congratulate you, Alpha Flight, for this handling of this Wendigo business. You did well. I wish I had a better reward." So basically, he's going to tell him that the government just can't keep paying for Alpha Flight. It's just too damn expensive. Looks like Canadian doesn't have the money the United States does in paying for everything anyway. So he says they're basically on their own. If they want their funding, then they're going to have to find other ways to get it. So, and then we end with this at a prison. And so we know who this is. Oh, you should know who this is, but I won't spoil it for you. And so, it says here, he hasn't budged for days since this lady lawyer visited him. I don't like it, Harv. Me neither. He's up to something. And then, holy, the cell collapses. And the guy here says, the cell is collapsing on itself. This crazy loon, he's doing something. He's committing suicide. This isn't an earthquake. What's making it happen? Look out. Ugh. And he goes, jerk, it's going to take a lot more than a few tons of falling rock to stop Fred J. Dukes. So, that would be the Blob. Wooey, that implosion stunt that my lady lawyer taught me is pretty nifty. Looks like she's worth trusting after all. She said transportation would be waiting outside the prison. All I had to do was make it outside on my own. An entrance exam, she called it, to see if I was good enough to join the new Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. I don't think they would call themselves Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, just the Brotherhood of Mutants. Well, I am, babe, as you and the entire world are gonna find out. Next, Days of Futures Past. Amazing story. So, X-Men 140 from 1980 by Chris Claremont and John Byrne. Like and subscribe, and I do thank you for listening. Goodbye.